Rodgers with a walk-off touchdown. Total disbelief at Ford Field.
He may go all the way to the 20 down the right side, and there's Randall Cobb to the 5, to the end zone, to the touchdown. Oh my goodness.
Welcome, everyone, to the Green and Golden Boys Packers podcast, the podcast for Packer fans who don't need to scoreboard watch for the rest of the season if we can help it. I am your co-host, Charles. With me, as always, is Marcus. Marcus, how you doing?
Doing well, Charles. Yourself?
I'm doing great, Marcus. We're here to review the Packers-Bears Sunday night game, and, of course, we're going to get way into that. But you and I watched the Monday night game between the Cardinals and the Rams, and we watched the Cardinals lose, dropping to, 10-3 now, and that gave the Green Bay Packers with a huge win over the Chicago Bears, the number one seed in the NFC.
Yes, it was a great game to watch, actually, and I'm just going to go ahead and say to everybody listening, Charles won't watch Packers games with me anymore, but he will watch impactful NFC games, so I'll settle for that, I guess. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch. I think you and I had the kind of the same sentiment after watching the game was, we're glad the Rams won, but I think we're both a little bit more afraid of a hot Rams team going into the playoffs than maybe the Arizona Cardinals. But that's a discussion for another time. The Green Bay Packers, number one seed in the NFC, and hoping to continue that this week. But let's talk a little bit about this Bears-Packers game. 45-30, the Packers beat the Chicago Bears. Another one in the books for Aaron Rodgers and his ownership of the Bears. What should we talk about first? I mean, should we talk about the bad, the good? I think the obvious bad, we all know, was the special teams. I mean, that was just an absolute atrocity. That's a word, right?
Yeah, for sure. Atrocity. Why not? Yeah, I think there's other bad things to talk about in this game, but I mean, special teams has been the theme all year. And I'm ready to send my application in to Lambeau and LaFleur and say, hey, I'll be your special teams coach. And my philosophy is, don't freaking touch the ball. Just get away from it. Don't return it. Fair catch everything. Let it bounce out of bounds. There are so many. I mean, we can do a whole episode just on the mistakes in this one game, on this special teams. My joke on Twitter, which all of you guys who are following me know, was the Packers probably could have lost this game if the Bears just would have punted every time it was second down. Because, I mean, if it weren't for a questionable penalty on the Bears gunner running out of bounds, I mean, we muffed another punt, and it was a turnover. But, yeah, it was mistake after mistake after mistake, and I kind of want to list them all out. The one that drives me bonkers, I think, was in the first or second quarter when a kickoff was clearly going out of bounds, and I don't remember who was returning the ball. Beeline it straight to the sideline and tried to catch it but muffed it out of bounds at the 5-yard line. That's a 35-yard swing by just being boneheaded. And that was out of bounds.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we know what he was trying to do, but at that point it's like, that ball was going to land out of bounds. Let it go out of bounds. If it was going to land in bounds, yes, catch the ball with 1 foot out of bounds, and then you're looking at the 40-yard line. But that ball was clearly going to land out of bounds. Let it go. I don't understand. Let it go. God.
Let it go. Let it go. Okay, sorry. Yeah, that was that. I mean, that was the biggest headache. Because we were at that point down, I believe. This was another conversation we'll have here in a minute. It was a tale of two halves, and we did not need that kind of mistake in the first half. And then the part of our special teams that had been overall pretty strong was our coverage unit. We hadn't let up any long punt returns or kick returns to my recent memory, and I think they said that actually in the game that we were ranked reasonably high, and then to give up not just long kick returns, but a 95-yard touchdown punt return is just inexcusable. And if we're in January doing that, I mean, that's a mistake against Tampa Bay that loses the game for us. Against the Bears, we can get away with it. Against Tampa Bay, against the Rams, against Arizona, it's just the fact that I was cheering that he caught it at the 5-yard line because that was a boneheaded play. Like he should not have fielded that, right? He should have let that try and bounce in the end zone. And then the fact that he makes something out of nothing, I mean, good for him. But I mean, that was just atrocious.
Yep. I mean, it was absolute garbage, and I don't understand it. And I mean, I understand to an extent that special teams players, they're not your starters. They're not guys that are, integral to your roster in that they're playing a ton of snaps, offensively or defensively for you. However, you still need to have a competent special teams group, and I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's just execution or a mix of both. But it seems like a lot of this stuff is mental. I think on that return for a touchdown, I think it was Oren Burks, who is, at this point, what is in his 4th year? Mm-hmm. He is in a good position to make a play on the returner and just kind of stops, and then the guy just runs right around him. And I don't know, he stopped pursuit. I don't know what he was thinking, but he didn't even get a hand on the guy. I don't understand. It boggles my mind. And we're going to complain about it until it's resolved or at least serviceable. So, to your point, you can't have this kind of stuff against good teams. This is a bad Bears team, but you can't have this stuff cost you a game come playoff time.
Yeah, but I think the silver lining was, I think Mason was 1 for 1 on field goals and no missed PATs. So. That's reassuring, and I still think we have a stud of a punter just with some booming kicks, but it's not automatic. I mean, I remember back in the beginning of the year when Aaron had put together that amazing comeback against the 49ers, and he spiked the ball with no timeouts left, and on the 35-yard line, 40-yard line, Aaron Rodgers just had a big fist pump because he knew, like, yes. We got the ball down the field, and we got Mason Crosby coming out, and this game is over. And sure enough, he hit that kick, only to see weeks later him essentially fall apart. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be fist pumping like that in the playoffs anymore because it's not as automatic on any level of our special teams. It's definitely something that we're going to hold our breaths. That being said, like you mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we are. Aaron Rodgers, I guess specifically, is the owner of the Chicago Bears, and overall, we got to be very happy with a win where we covered the 14-point spread. So the final score, I think, was a little bit. It doesn't speak to how nervous some of us probably were feeling specifically in that first half, but we gotta be excited with the fact that we were able to come back out after a flat first half, put together a lot of points. Have another awesome showing from our defense who contained a very elusive Justin Fields. And then Rasul Douglas. I mean, he's got to be the player of the game with another pick six. Again, I'm going to say it every time we bring up his name. He was on a freaking practice squad at the beginning of the year, and he's probably the guy who's saving our season. I mean, honestly, our season with how he's stabilized this defense. So overall, we got to be pretty excited about what we saw. What else did you see that you kind of is moving forward, setting aside the negative, special teams specifically? I mean, what did you see that you really liked here against the Bears?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, to reiterate, Aaron Rodgers was unreal in this game. I mean, we've been blessed with him for so long, but sometimes he has games like this where you're like, man, that guy is unbelievable. He made some throws that were just like, first of all, a really good quarterback in the NFL may not even think about attempting those throws, and then he's just able to make them. He's coming along really well. I think he's got a future in this league, don't you? This kid's got something.
Yeah, coming along.
But not that we don't know that Aaron Rodgers is great, but that was a game. I feel like he hasn't played like that in a while, or maybe not this year yet. Last year we saw a couple games like that where he was just kind of out of his mind. But this game, this has got me really optimistic going into the playoffs. If he can keep playing like that at a high level with a broken toe. We'll see.
I think Before you change the subject, yeah, I mean, to your point, we're used to getting stuck on that 24 points, most of November and October. So it's great to see us put up 45. Yes, there was the pick six, but I mean, a lot of this is all Aaron. I mean, 4 touchdown passes. I mean, has he done that yet this year? Maybe once. I know in the past we were used to seeing him throw four TDs, but this year's been very much 1 or 2 touchdown passes and 250 yards. So to see him put up, 350 and four touchdown passes, I mean, is pretty sick.
Yeah, and the running game was pretty good this game against the Bears. We didn't see Aaron Jones get a ton of attempts, only 5, but he's averaging 7 yards a carry. But then we were able to get him involved in the passing game, which is good. I think if you're going to have a game where A.J. Dillon's going to get the majority of the carries on the ground, you got to find ways to get Aaron Jones involved, and I think Matt LaFleur did a really good job of that, getting him involved in the passing game. Which was great to see too. So those are some positives. Obviously, we allowed 30 points, but only 23 of those were actually by the defense. So again, I think if our defense is only allowing 23 points a game or less, I mean, I think we can hopefully count on Aaron Rodgers to get us that, at least 24. So again, positives there. Rasul Douglas again. Preston Smith, he's coming on really strong. He took over the sack lead for the Packers over Rashawn Gary. Those two are playing really good football right now, and I think, we're going to say this again, but if we can get Zadarius Smith back, maybe, for 10, 15 snaps a game, heading into the playoffs or during the playoffs, that's going to be big for this pass rush.
Theoretically rested too, right? I mean, I don't know how much he's working out, but to your point, if we can just get him on a few snaps and get after it, that'll be huge. I think also. I mean, was it Preston Smith too who got the sack fumble? Am I remembering that correctly? Yeah. I mean, so I guess to counter my point about they got 6 of the points. I mean, that was another very 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 short field that our Packers gave us, and that, unlike what I was saying about the special teams, that is what's going to win us games come January. I mean, starting off drives on the opponent's 15-yard line, huge. Just, I mean, game changing.
Yep, for sure. What else? I mean, we talked about the defense, the special teams. Obviously, the offense is coming on strong.
The only other thing I would add to this game, and it's funny because I was actually watching it with my brother-in-law, who's a Vikings fan, and getting texts from some Vikings friends. I don't know about you, but even when we were down, how much we were down in the first half, and especially that first quarter and a half, did you feel nervous? Did you always? I mean, for me at least, I'll say that I always felt like I had this sense of calm. Like I was never concerned yet. Now it could have quickly gotten that way if they would have put up 7 before we got that pick 6, but. Even when we were down however many points, 13-3 or whatever it was, it didn't concern me, which I think is a sign of obviously we have Aaron Rodgers, but it's just a sign of a solid team saying, you know what, we can overcome a 2-touchdown deficit, especially if it's only in the first half. Did you feel the same way?
No. Short answer, no.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I definitely have confidence in this team, but when we were just, it seemed like we were just throwing the game away. In that first half, like it was like, how are we? We get a touchdown and then we just allow a huge, big play, big special teams play, or those 2 big plays from Justin Fields. One of them was a touchdown, I believe. But yeah, it was. I was. I won't say I was sick to my stomach, but I was, when you feel that you get a kind of a pit in your stomach and your face, you can feel your face heating up and you're just kind of angry and you're like, what the heck is going on? And after all the Aaron Rodgers owns you, and this just seemed like the perfect opportunity for the Bears to just, to get fired up and come back with a big upset. But I always had confidence in the team, but it just seemed like every time we took a step forward, we took 2 steps back, at least in the first half.
Yeah, but then to your point, we came out just in that second half looking like we expected to look, right? I mean,